Hey everyone, welcome to Slamfire Radio episode 446. Today is March 10th, 2022. I am one of your hosts, Kyle.
I'm another host, Mo.
I'm Kelly.
I'm another host, Adriel.
Hello.
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 How's everyone's week?
I think we should get into what we did in guns this week.
Yeah, probably should.
It's almost over.
Yeah, thank God.
Oh, gosh.
So what we did with guns is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center. And today we're going to go over the M Carbo Savage Axis Pro Trigger Spring Kit for $29.
Sweet.
That's the one to get if you got that Savage Axis combo from Cabela's for like really cheap over Boxing Day holiday. That's the one you want because that'll bring it down to like 3 pounds. And
yeah,
I put one on my kid's rifle. It's scary. Like I put one on mine because like for
and it's
$30,
$29. Come on,
gotta makes
right?
such a
Yeah.
well
Like
because
$29. Like,
the Savage 1 and the Savage 2. The Savage 2 has the AccuTrigger. Savage 1, the Axis 1 doesn't. You don't need it if you get that spring kit. It makes the rifle incredibly crisp, and that trigger is very light.
nice. Okay, so go to Calgary Shooting Center if you want to get your hands on one of those, and the price is definitely worth trying it out anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start off with Adriel. What'd you do this week?
Oh, well, one thing I learned this week, today I learned, or TAL, 3-Gun Nation is like super dead. Like it was kind of dead before. Like there wasn't really a lot of people shooting it. I knew of like 1 or 2 clubs that were doing matches with, and it's just like dead now. Website doesn't resolve to anything.
Really?
Yep. It's dead. They gave up on it. So that was news for me. I think the last time we talked about 3-gun rule sets, the last time around, like we had someone that was repping 3-Gun Nation because they ran their events as 3GN rules, and now it's just toast. I guess you can still use the old rules if you want to. Just go outlaw on it. Yeah.
Well, that's sad to hear.
Not really, because like I think that one of the things that we talked about on the show previously is like 3-gun has to get closer to like the same rule sets. So if it's UML and USPSA multi-gun and that's all there is, then that's a better thing. I think that we should simplify some of the rule sets so that they're just those are the only ones we have, and we don't have like 4 or 5 out there. And then Cadex or Oryx sent me
Sweet
this
baby
cool stock to review. Now I've been eyeing one of these up. I had at the time when I was building this guy out, this is my LDR, like Gray Birch LDR receiver, Gray Birch 16-inch barrel, and a bunch of other like Gucci parts on this thing. When I was building this 1022, I was looking at stocks, and I looked at the Oryx, and I'm like, maybe not. And then I ended up getting the Magpul Hunter just to keep it simple.
Yep.
But I really like the Oryx, and I really like the fact that it comes with a buttstock that's adjustable, grip, the fact that it's got like M-lock slots and all that kind of stuff. And so they emailed me like, hey, you want to try one of these out? I'm like, yeah,
sure.
yeah, I do. The 1022 one.
Yeah.
It didn't twist my rubber arm. Yeah, I'll definitely try that out. So they sent this one out. I think it looks pretty spacey.
I think so too. Well,
especially with the scope on here, it looks pretty weird. But when I put a real scope on it, we'll see. I like that the cheek piece is adjustable because this will probably be used in Maple Seed as a loaner. So being able to move the cheek piece up and down is good. And then the buttstock is adjustable as well. But
awesome.
I probably won't.
So MDT is also a sponsor for Project Maple Seed too, eh?
Oh,
let people shoot it.
Well,
anyways, so Matt also agrees with it. By the way, he likes the Oryx as well.
Yeah, it's cool. I do like that that they've got polymer on top of the aluminum. So aluminum chassis with polymer on top. If you shoot in Alberta and it's -20 and you put your hand on a chunk of aluminum, even with a glove on, it doesn't matter. It pulls the heat out of your hand. But like having a little bit of polymer here.
What's the weight like on it?
Well, it's heavier than the Magpul stock for sure. But that's what you get when you throw some aluminum in there and whatnot. I got an 870. I'm not going to pull out the 870. I've got Kyle's 870 here. I've yet to go to the range. I'm not going to go to the range this weekend because I'm building.
What are you doing?
I'm building a gun room this weekend.
Yay!
I went to Home Depot with my Dodge Caravan and I loaded it up with a bunch of.
I saw that you spent about a couple $1,000s on wood.
It's like $1,000. I think after all said and done, it's going to be about $1,000. But wood, drywall, insulation, electrical, and a pre-hung door. I think I'm going to be about $1,000 just doing it all myself. And well, actually, I got a couple of buddies of mine coming out to help build it. But
that was a joke, by the way, about the cost of wood, but you didn't get it.
It wasn't. You weren't that far off from actual. 2x4s are still $10. It's like a pricey. Yeah.
Anyways, but you're going to be able to display all your firearms in a beautiful way and sit in there while you podcast, and it's going to be amazing. So
yeah, well, I've kind of like right now I've got this hybrid of like this work and streaming and video recording set up. I'm going to move to just having a workstation for work and then having like a dedicated station for video and streaming and that kind of thing and photography. So it'll be nice to set up some like permanent lighting, use this the bomb and microphone for this kind of a thing and the crappy one for work, and then have like all that lighting and like a crap ton of guns behind me. I was talking to a buddy of mine, Mike, who's a carpenter, and about like racking and how to like cheaply get like all these guns racked, and he gave me a great suggestion, which is take a 2x8, drill 2-inch hole saw holes in the middle all the way up, and then cut the thing and rip it in half, and then boom, you've got 2 racks of vertical storage, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like it. So I'm gonna do that, and then I've got my security for the room set up, and like in terms of like how to make it so it's hard to break into and whatnot. So yeah, there is no there's no case laws as far as I'm aware of around that. It just has to be difficult to break into. So
correct,
making it difficult to break into.
It has to be difficult, reinforced. Yes,
but they don't really make any mention of like any practical suggestions in there.
Yeah, no. There's no specifics.
That's government though, right?
We built
like
ours.
They wouldn't say like, make it so that there's this kind of wood, or make it so that there's this kind of metal, or this kind of they wouldn't like specify it because that would be too much work. So instead they just like leave it completely open-ended, and you kind of have to guess as to like what's hard to break into.
Up for interpretation.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but I'll make it hard to break into, and I can't wait to set up all the racking and have like proper like reloading stations. Oh, that'd be nice. A little reloading station permanently set up, some good lighting, some spots to take photos of guns, and just not having guns in cases or safes, just having it all up on the wall. That would be really nice. Yeah.
Very nice.
I did a Maple Seed Shoot Boss call, and I'm setting up events. They're selling out very fast. So
you win?
Yeah. I'm winning so far. Yeah, I think I'm glad you picked that up, but we ended up opening up quite late into the year just because like all of the ones soon just sold out. They're completely sold out, and there's just no chance for people. So we opened some up later in the year so that people could still book in for them. But I got some more events that'll be opening up soon here in the Calgary area, Central Alberta area, and hopefully get some going in like Fort Mac and Grand Prairie, and just
that'll be nice
all over the whole province.
Nice.
Covered. Yeah. Anyways, that's about it for me. What about you, Kelly?
So I was on the same call anyways. But so from my perspective, I haven't released the Ontario yet, but they will be up soon. But I'm also actually helping out the rest of the country by getting all the stuff ready for them. And my front door looks like right now, my entranceway looks, it's almost impassable. Because there's so much stuff for Project Maple Seed there. But anyways, so She Shoots podcast. We did that on Tuesday night for the International Women's Day. We also, by the way, we had Linda Miller and Keith Cunningham from Milcon. They were talking about the mental marksmanship. It was great to talk to both of them again. God, I love them. But from the aspect of getting women into shooting and keeping them in, and then also how we can go from just shooting at the range, but to really enjoying it and then taking it to the next level. I thought it'd be a great topic to talk about. We also launched a new target as well. So for International Women's Day, we developed Target, and I printed off a whole bunch of them. I'm going to go to the Kincaid Ranch this weekend and shoot them with a couple of people as well. Took off to SFRC as well because you know what, it's Saturday. And took a friend of mine as well. She's looking at getting some new guns, or she's relatively new into shooting, so she wanted to go and have a look at some pistols. Recommendations. She was looking at the Seasoned Shadow too. And then also she wanted to have a look at the P320 as well, the XP.
Nah,
But
no point.
it's pretty, so pretty. But I did talk her into the CZ just because of the fact that it's just going to be. She already has an MP9, but I said no, go with the CZ Shadow because she wants to actually get into Black Badge and do all that. So you're going to be much happier with the CZ. So that was her decision. And yeah, anyways, did want to talk about, I put it in the event section as well, but I did want to talk about, there's a KISIP event. It's a women's event that's going to be happening on the 20th of March. It's a ladies event, and it's going to be happening up at EOSC, which is in Ottawa. So I kind of actually already talked about it, but there's more details in the event section. But yeah, anyways, that's about it. I didn't get shooting, but I did a lot of stuff. I went out to the Kincaid Ranch on Saturday night as well, so did stuff with people that was with guns, but I didn't actually. Oh, when I went to SFRC, guess what I bought? I dropped a mittload of money. You know what I bought?
What?
Trigger
Fishing
locks.
gear.
Trigger lock.
Trigger locks.
Yeah, because I really like I needed a new trigger lock, one that goes through the actual trigger guard, because the Wrangler, you can't really do anyways, I had to go and buy some new trigger locks.
Combo locks, right?
Combo. Everything's a combo.
Combo.
Nothing. I don't own anything that's not combo
It has
because
to be combo.
yeah, keys get lost. So if you have combination, much better. Mo better. Anyways, so speaking of Mo better, Mo, what did you do in guns this week?
I went back to Ontario for a visit. So I did a match at Guelph. It was just a level 1, 4 stages.
Okay.
3 of the stages went pretty well. One was weekend only, and it's always a reminder of maybe I should actually practice live fire weekend shooting once in a while, and not just get to a match and it's a weekend stage and then it goes terrible. I'm like, ugh.
So what happened in the stage?
It was a short stage and I did bad because I was just like not accurate and too slow, and it killed the score. So, and yeah,
Okay.
but
So
the other
want to
3,
talk about it.
but no, because there was some no shoots and I hit the no shoots, and that's
Okay.
no good.
So
No good.
I'm going to talk to you. What
Okay,
did you
I'm
do
ready.
well? How did you hit the target?
Yeah, no. Well, the other 3 stages I did well, but
Okay, so let's focus on those. What did you do well?
I'm moving better because I've been losing weight and I'm finding that it's helping. So
Awesome.
it's easier to not be a less fat guy getting around and stuff.
You're svelte now. Let's look at it from the positive.
I wouldn't say svelte.
Okay, you're getting svelte.
Not yet. Anyways, but because I've been exercising too, so I'm finding that I'm just getting
awesome.
And the stretching, because my flexibility was terrible, which I mentioned before. So
are you coming to Maple Seed then?
Yeah, I'm going to be ready this year. I'm totally going to be ready.
Cool.
So I'm not going to get a patch or anything, but I'm still going to do better.
Absolutely agree too.
Why not?
Do better. I don't know. We'll see, but we'll see. And this time I'm not going to come on a day after a match and in that heat and anyways. So so that was the match. And then after the match, I met a gentleman named Random Dave at a Tim Hortons.
Oh, nice.
And we were there for a couple hours. We talked about a lot of stuff, like gun stuff and personal stuff, but he told me about the service rifle stuff more in detail. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed doing that. He's a great guy. So we had a good long talk.
Did he bring you a book?
No book.
Oh,
No,
okay.
he did buy me coffee and a bottle of water. So like
Sweet.
it was,
Very nice.
it was
Very
pretty
nice.
cool. And then I reloaded some more ammo, and I did have issues this time because the primers weren't loading. And I mentioned before, now I don't get frustrated. I'm like, okay, what's the problem here? And so it wasn't loading them into the disc, right? And so I figured there was probably a jam in the magazine tube. So I took it all apart. I blew it out, reloaded some fresh ones in, and then it was fine. So that's what I mean. Like I'm starting to like address the issue without getting like upset about it, and just like fix it and move on and make the ammo, and I'm good.
Yeah. Primer
Yes.
feed paths are like so sensitive to like loose
Oh, yeah.
powder or
Mm.
anything gets in there. And the Dillons are pretty good. But the Lee Pro 1000, like any little piece of crap gets in there and
Yeah.
it is game over, and it will
Yeah.
not feed a primer, and it will pour the powder all over the primer feed path. And yeah,
Mm.
frustration.
Did you you have the Dillon 650, don't you?
650, yeah. And
Yeah.
talking about primer, all the powder going everywhere is like, oh, my nemesis.
Mhm.
Just that stuff. Like I hate sand and I hate powder being loose everywhere. So
Of course, and it gets everywhere.
yeah,
Have you done
and, yeah,
any
it's
upgrades to it?
I changed the where when the live primer doesn't feed and it goes into that that catch. I have a different little, like it's like a little baby bottle, and
Okay,
so that seems to catch them better.
Okay.
I have the washers on the I can't think of the name now. So there's
The shell
just a
plates?
couple, the shell plates. So a couple of little things, but and it has been running better. So like I said, now that I know how to fix things and address it right away, and I have to spend my friend Louis tells me this all the time. I have to spend more time looking at the cases before I put them in the case feeder. Like I can't just like clean them and throw them all in there. I gotta like spend a lot, because there was
check
the
them.
ones. Yeah, because there's the ones where they have them, I guess, the military pocket. I forget what it's actually called.
Oh yeah,
And,
Yeah.
crimped primer pocket.
so they feed, but they don't feed like flat. They kind of protrude. So I got to make sure to get those out of the mix next time, right? So
Yeah.
Where are you getting crimped? Like not a lot of. I assume this is for 9mm ammo, right?
yeah, it's 9mm.
You don't run across that. I see it every once in a while. It's some guys in Bonnieville shoot some like old military crimped. It's got the 3 crimp on the back there, and those like will not take a primer afterwards. But other than that, like I think most 9mm is pretty good for not having a crimp in it. Maybe there's some army shooters on some of the stages you're shooting though.
Yeah, must be. The last thing was I was supposed to be going to an interesting match this weekend that's near Sherbrooke, because it was going to be partially outdoors and partially in a covered area. And I was looking forward to actually shooting outside. Like my friend Louis makes fun of me about wanting to shoot outside in the winter, and I actually did want to do it. But it just got canceled today because the area is supposed to get 25 to 35 centimeters on Saturday.
We're getting
So
this weekend.
I guess we can't shoot. I guess we can't shoot in a blizzard. So I guess it's
Bring a snow shovel. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know what Mother Nature is doing here. It's just like weird.
Yeah.
Really
you have
weird.
to high step to the next array. That's really it for me. How about you, Cal?
Well, I wanted to add something. Like you're saying you're getting powder everywhere with your loading.
Yeah.
Check out, it's the Aaron Dondo. It's just a piece of rubber that goes around and replaces a couple pins around your shell plate, and it actually touches your casing and keeps it from flopping around.
Is that like a brush attachment? Because I had that, but
I had the brush and I didn't like it. This supposed to do the same thing as the brush, but it actually, right from your powder drop, it's like a piece of rubber, and like I said, it takes up 2 of your pins on your base there, and your shell just rolls across it as it goes around until you seat your projectile.
Okay, because I have the brush, and I found that the brush would always start popping up, so there was like constantly like making sure it's in place, and it was frustrating.
Yeah, that's the Dubba Alpha or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But Aaron Dondo, that's
Dondo. Okay, I'll check it
I
out.
like that one. And then the low mass ball and spring for your shell index or your shell plate index.
See, the other thing too is I'm using the CFE pistol powder, which requires more, whereas I was using the tight group before. So I think I'm going to go back to the tight group after I'm done the big jug of it. So sorry, continue.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I just wanted to suggest checking
Thank
that
you.
out. As far as what I did, it's been a week. There's been some ups and some downs.
Okay, let's
But,
talk about these.
So started working on Mo's shotgun over the weekend.
Okay.
It's still on the bench getting worked on. I'll have that ready to ship out this weekend.
Okay.
No, you didn't accidentally cut it in half or anything.
I was just going to say that was
Not
not
yet,
one of the
no.
downs, right?
No, that's not one of the
Did you
downs.
give it a little Dremel kiss along the side, a little skate? Whoop!
How
Wait.
many pieces do I get back?
How many do you want back?
I was just waiting for Mo to go, oh God, what happened?
No, I trust
so-
them.
Yeah, no, that's going good. And we had a range meeting Tuesday night.
Okay.
And usually I kind of dread going to those, but actually was really good and good outlook for the year with events coming up and,
I have a
and
question.
everything. So,
Are
okay.
you going to be the new president?
We'll have to wait for January for the election to find out if enough people elect me.
Okay. All right.
Can we
As
vote
of right
for
now,
you?
I am going to run.
Okay.
I'm hoping to, obviously, if I'm running, I'm hoping to get elected, but
Go and win,
you never know. That's
That's
how
how
many months
elections
away?
work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Tuesday night was good night, good range meeting. And then we get to the downs.
Okay, what
And
happened?
I mean, like, bottom of the dump downs.
Oh,
So, yesterday, yes, today's Thursday. So, yesterday, I got an email from the ATF, subject Form 6.
okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I started reading it. And it was returned without action because of the
Why?
Kodiak.
Oh.
They said the Kodiak was non-importable.
Oh.
Now, mind you, even though I had said I sent
Why?
it without the FRT, pretty much right after that, I decided, I'm already pushing it close. So just sent the FRT with them, highlighted my model, everything, just to make sure that they knew this is not an AR-15. It is legal.
Right.
So I got on the phone because I had called beginning of the week and got actually the direct line for somebody there. So I called this person and wanted to talk to somebody to go over why this was basically rejected. And she started going through it and she come up with, and I'm sorry, this is going to be a little bit of a rant here because I'm dealing with a government agency. So it's
okay.
real fun. She brought up, well, it says it takes AR-15 mag, so it's an AR-15. No, just because it takes AR-15 mags doesn't. The reason for me sending that document was it clearly states not based off an AR-15. It's based off an AR-180. It says right at the top, non-restricted in Canada, and tried getting the examiner and specialist on the phone, but they were in meetings. So I was told to send an email to them. I'm like, okay, perfect. I got their direct email. No, it's the standard imports@atf.gov email that I got to send this to.
Right.
And she's like, well, you could resubmit. I'm supposed to be leaving Sunday. I don't have time to resubmit.
Oh, shit.
So as of right now, I have no idea what I'm doing. I got to talk to Craig here after the show and figure something out. I'm hoping, because I wrote a long email. I feel like I did pretty good at being professional in it, but stating like I am disputing your guys' findings because I sent you documentation that said this gun is legal in Canada, so it is not a permanent importation. It is a temporary importation. I will be able to get it back into the country.
Yeah.
And laid it out almost word for word and saying like, I need this looked at and reversed now because I'm due to travel on Sunday. So, and I didn't want to bug him today, so I didn't call the ATF today, but I'm going to get on the phone tomorrow and see what's up and what I can do.
Okay.
Do you have your shotgun and pistol with Form 6 on it? Or do they just reject the whole thing?
They just reject the whole thing. So for me to get my pistol and shotgun, that is resubmitting. They don't just say, okay, well, these are good, but don't bring this. They say, nope, resubmit the whole thing, but take that off.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much, I had a whole other bigger rant planned, and I didn't even know if I was going to rant about it, but why not?
Why not? You're here.
Yeah. It's not as bad as it could have been. I was fuming yesterday, but
yeah, I don't blame you.
No. Sorry, was it Adriel?
Phoenix? Arizona?
Well, that's the first big match. And then Texas, 3 hours east of Texas, is the second weekend.
Where are you in Texas?
We will probably end up staying in Columbus. We're probably going to be in San Antonio for a couple days before that match.
All right. But if you do need guns, just let us know and we'll put you in touch with somebody in San Antonio.
Yeah, I got to talk to Craig. He's shooting limited, so his shotgun, if he's cool with it, I know it's an M2, so that won't be a problem. I don't know what he shoots for a pistol. I mean, obviously I'd like to shoot my STI, but at this point I don't care. But the biggest thing, and like I said, I still got to talk to him. And the last 24, 36 hours have been just up and down. Am I going? Okay, well, I can always borrow guns. It's just up and down. I think I'm going to try, if I can't, at least borrow guns. And the rifle is the big one because I've never shot limited. And on this trip, we're going out to 600 yards. And I really don't want to be having to push out to 600 yards shooting limited for the first time.
Yeah.
Just hose them. Just, I don't know, 4 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet. Just keep pulling trigger and keep going higher until
hosing at 600 yards.
Oh, accuracy by volume.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So I guess we'll see next week if I'm sitting in sunny Arizona for the show or if I'm back in the grotto.
No, you'll be fine. Go, and even go if you have to borrow. There's people down there that you can borrow guns from.
And that's the thing. I'm sure I could get online, and I know a bunch of people. I'm sure I could get some. It's just getting over the fact that I'm not shooting my own guns.
Yeah, what you're comfortable with,
Well, boo-hoo, you're gonna shoot an AR-15 instead of
I was looking forward to actually going down there with the 180 and actually hopefully doing decent with a 180 and having people like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
They would, it would throw them for a loop seeing that thing, but I got
there's still no guarantee on how good I'm going to do, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, you know what? As I said, if you need some help in Texas, at least we know people there. I know people in Arizona as well, but
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
And with that, I'm going to end my ranting and sadness. Sucks sad ending on a sad note, but let's get into upcoming events. And upcoming events is sponsored by Telos Alpha. Telos Alpha is a Canadian digital agency that works exclusively in the firearms vertical. They help with business processes, strategic planning, websites, e-commerce, and battling the stigma the industry carries with banks, merchant processors, and social media. You can learn more at telosalpha.com.
I can do that.
Pronounce that first one. No. Kyle, why don't you pronounce that?
Kyle? Okay, go ahead.
Geez. Okay. So the first one, there is a black badge course at Club de Tir de Luandier. I butchered, but
I would have butchered it too. I just couldn't wait.
Let's see. Then Luandier.
Yeah. Okay.
On March 19th, 20. I'm not good. 19th and 20th. And info or registration at
we'll
club.
Good luck.
Yeah, we'll post it in the show notes because I I've butchered it enough that sorry guys.
That's good.
Lanaudier, right?
What?
Lanaudier.
Yeah, it's close.
The
That's
land
close.
of the
Okay, how do you
derrieres.
say it then, Mo?
The
Come on.
it's butt land.
She said it right. She said it right.
Lanaudier.
That's how I would say it.
Okay, so cool. Is that near you then, Mo?
Yeah, it's not far. Yeah, so anyone interested in doing a black badge, go for it. Should be fun.
Cool.
And as we've already said a few times during the show, Maple Seed events have started to be released, and the regional coordinators are also wanting to hear from you. So send them an email.
Yeah, if you
So-
want to get Maple Seed out at your club, email us, email your club to put some pressure on those execs. Try to say, yeah, we really need a Maple Seed out here, and we'll find a way to make it happen.
We should get okay. So just send it to info@mapleseedrifleman.com and I'll spread it out to whoever the regional coordinators are, or you can just send it to info at. That way it's easier than typing in Alberta or BC. Is it BC or Saskatchewan? We've abbreviated some of them we didn't abbreviate. So anyways, so send them an info@mapleseed and then I'll include whoever the province is.
Okay. Sounds good. Jarrett saying there's a level 3 match at that club in Quebec on the 25th, 26th, and 27th.
Oh, at CTM, the club
Yeah.
that's close to me. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Hennessy asked me if I was going to go to that. I went,
I think it's almost sold out. So
it was. I thought. Anyways.
it's close. It's
No.
close.
Okay.
Okay. And then there's the QCEF Women's Range Day at Eastern Ontario Shooting Club on March 20th from 11 till 4 o'clock. $20. And there's, is that on their website there, Kelly, this poster?
Yeah. So it's on the website for the Carleton University Shooting Federation club. And then I think QCEF is putting it on theirs as well. So Canadian University Shooting Federation. That you can go over there. It's $20 fee. You don't have to have a PAL. You don't have to have anything. We'll provide the firearms. Yeah. Guess who's going to be there? Hi.
You
I'm going
are.
to be there. So
You're everywhere though. So
Is it purchase ammo though? I see the ammo price
yeah,
there.
you can purchase ammo. I think we're actually looking at that a little bit because I think that there might be some available or some discounted stuff going on there. So we'll talk about that. But sign up anyways for $20. Come on out and then come and shoot for
That's
ladies. It'll be
Sounds
awesome.
good.
Yay!
Yeah. And speaking of ladies' days, Kelly.
So
Okay.
yeah,
I'll let Kelly do this then.
no, you do it.
So Kelly, aka the CCFR Women's Division, is looking to support and sponsor more ladies' days. So if you in your range want to put one on, get in contact with Kelly or CCFR either at slamfireradio@gmail.com or info@firearmsrights.ca and set it up with them, get the package, guidance on how to run the event.
If you're just a regular listener of the show and you're not a member of the executive range, what should their next or their first steps be, Kelly? Should they contact the range exec and try to feel them out and see if they can do a day like this?
Yeah.
Should they reach out to you? Which one do you think they should start with?
They should start out with their own executive, and the reason is because I can give them all the information and support that they need, but the executive need to be on board first. I'm not. So the reality is, if you are going, the only way that we can really continue our sport is to make sure that women and youth are shooting. So board should be on board. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and by the way, we'll help you out as much as we can. Like we've got it down to guidelines and stuff that you can, it's pretty well laid out, and we'll help you as much as we can.
So do you guys have like a brochure or even just general poster that has just general information that someone could take to their club exec and say, this is what this is all about?
Yeah, so if you go to the CCFR website specifically and you go into the programs there, they are listed there. So, and stuff that's available to them and how we do. But if you want to actually send us an email, I'll specifically lay it out on all the stuff that you can have specifically for a women's day, but I do know that Tracy asked me recently for the package that we have for the ladies' day, so that it can be transferred over just to a general. You can use it for just a general range day as well for newcomers too.
Mhm.
So it's
Okay.
awesome. So yeah,
Nice.
And the reason why I'm asking these questions is so that listeners don't have any excuses. And if they don't have
Yeah.
a ladies' day at their range, now they know what they need to do next. They need to talk to their executive, get buy-in for a day, which I mean, like range execs, they have to balance regular membership with getting access to the range and having enough days with all these events. So earlier on in the year is better, which means now is probably a great time to reach out to your exec and get them on board with the day, and then reach out to Kelly and she'll give you all the stuff you need to hook it up. And you'll need other volunteers at the range, but once they hear what is going on and kind of what's happening with it, they'll get on board, and you'll get lots of people who want to volunteer their time and help out with this thing.
Yeah, that's one thing that I do find that once we get in there, soon as the ladies' day happens, right afterwards, people are going, you know what? You're doing more of these. I literally have executives saying, okay, we're going to book right now for our next one, next month or next year. These are the dates we're going to have. And the people that are volunteering, they're saying, this is amazing. I'm going to actually volunteer any that you have in the area that you need extra ROs for or whatever. So it's just the women's smiles are infectious. One of the things that I find that people are less the executive from the executive piece, if they're not taking new members, they're saying, well, why would we do this if we're not taking new members? Well, you're going to take new members eventually, and it's not specifically about membership. It's about actually spreading knowledge and understanding within our community as well. And we start with women and children, basically.
Yeah, some of those women that come out might be like members of the municipality government or something like that, or maybe they have friends that are in there. And maybe getting them out of your range right now is a good preventative measure for them doing some messing around with your business license later on in the future.
One of the things that I do know before we move on is that women, once they get shooting, they are going to be the best advocates for you and your firearms. Let me say that right now. I'm a good example of it, but obviously anybody that I touch base with are new shooters. We just gravitate towards everybody and we just get whole hog involved, right? And the women's groups that I'm involved with, or we're going gangbusters. Look at Lady Guns. Lady Guns right now is having an event in Calgary with ladies, and they're doing it twice a month now. So it's like, yeah. So, anyways, I'll stop talking. Goodbye.
So there you go. Get some women's events going at your range.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the news. And TACOM 2022 has dates now.
Yeah.
So apparently it's going to be September 9th to 11th.
Yep.
So it's a good time. I was a little worried it might be earlier in the year, but later is better.
No, that was the last couple of times that it was on. That was the week it's the week after Labor Day. So that's typically when they do it. But it's a go. Tickets are not on sale yet, so they will be released soon. So
cool.
Great news.
Then we have
I posted this. I don't know if we really want to talk about it. Do you want to talk about it?
I hadn't heard of this. This is
I saw the headline for this. Yeah.
Okay. So I posted it. It was with respect to the shooting in Nova Scotia. They were talking about the RCMP. The RCMP actually, so part of the inquiry was that the RCMP had thought that the shooter, we're not going to say his name, he shot himself, they thought, in the middle of the night, and that's why they almost stood down from their perspective.
Smells like some bullshit.
So
why didn't you go? No, this is some straight up bullshit. Why didn't you go in? If you thought this guy shot himself, you would go in there and like clear the scene and do more stuff, not just
absolutely. You go retrieve the body. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it was in the middle of the night, right? And it's a Nova Scotia bush. So they thought they were hearing a series of shots, and then after a while they heard just one shot. So they thought he off himself. So they're going, good, we'll come in, we'll find him, we'll do the clearing and all that as well. So, but no, the reality was that he had gone and parked behind his garage, and there's some other stuff that was happening. So the more that you actually read into, there is a 57 page, I think it's 57 or 59 page part of the inquiry is available for people to read. The part of it was they thought that all of his cars were being burnt, so they didn't know that there was another one. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff that was going on.
There's so much.
Was this just something that happened in the moment, and they later, like, how long did it take them to correct that assumption? Like
the morning, they didn't know until
I'm reading the quote here, and it says like, "Oh, we heard one loud crack. Oh, he just shot himself, and the gig is up," kind of a thing. Okay.
So they had thought that he had actually shot himself. So because there was nothing else after that as well, not until the very next morning, like later in the morning, right? So they thought it was just a crime scene after that. They didn't know anything else. So
yeah, but they didn't try to secure the scene at that point. Like there's so much wrong with this whole thing.
Like, again, this is just one article, right? There's there's other articles, there's other things that are being pieced together too, and stuff is starting to come out too. So there was a lot that was going on and a lot of deficiencies. So
yeah,
but anyways,
okay,
that's it. I put it in there. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, well, CCFR legal fund donations. We don't have any new ones this week, but court battle's still going on. Still need some help, because just because we have a court date doesn't mean that's going to be the end of it. It's going to be long and drawn out and everything. So go, because if you're not a member, go become a member. Go to their website, make a donation, whatever you can do, and help fight it, basically.
People were wondering what's going to happen if they have to give up their guns on May 1st, and with the injunction they filed in place. It's not, they pushed it back for the hearing to actually be, I think it's April 29th. That's really late, but I think that they'll have to put an injunction in place because government's not capable or ready to actually take our guns. That's it.
Isn't the hearing for the injunction on April 10th?
They pushed it back.
Oh, they did. Okay.
I was reading an article. Maybe I should post to that one. iPolitics. Specific to that.
I heard some stuff about how they're doing the buyback.
That's bullshit.
Some rumors and whatnot.
Get in a post.
Show what the cost of the gun was through receipts or postings of marketing. Like you may have to prove the value of the gun to get the value of the gun.
Right. Anyways,
which, I mean, one of the ARs that I would have to give up is 15 or 20 years old. I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I don't have receipts from back then.
No. No, I don't have the one.
Thinking if it was self-built and those parts are still available, it might actually work in your favor because go by today's prices. But yeah.
Anyways, they have to figure that all out. They still haven't. So, I don't believe. That's just me. I don't believe that we're going to have to. There'll be an extension on it, and particularly because if they were having a legal challenge on it, why give up when legal challenges moving forward? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've gotten to a little bit of gloomy spot there, so let's go back to New Gun Stuff. And New Gun Stuff is sponsored by Bolt Action Coffee, and we've been an ambassador for them for some time now, and their coffee is roasted in small batches and is some pretty damn good coffee. You can get it sent to your house by going to their website, boltactioncoffee.com, and use the code SLAMFIRE, all capitals, one word, and get yourself a discount and some good Canadian roasted coffee.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
The first thing I've got on here is a lot of retailers are flagging this out. Get your primers and Barnall ammo and all that kind of stuff because things are about to get more expensive.
Okay, literally, what did you write here? You said shit is going to get more expensive.
Primers and Barnall ammo while you can. Yeah. Shit's going to get more expensive before long.
Shit is, yes.
Yeah, I saw a post from a supplier here in Alberta and saying that some of the suppliers just aren't shipping it because of the situation in Ukraine.
Yep.
Well, Vista donated 1 million rounds to Ukraine. I don't know what that does for us. It probably makes it like less harder to get or more expensive just locally here. But then there's also like primer manufacturers in like the Czech Republic and a bunch of those Eastern European countries like manufacture that stuff. And I bet they're going to start stockpiling. So we're not going to be able to get that stuff here. And
yeah,
their needs are a little bit more pressing than ours. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I find this very interesting. I find the whole world interesting right now, especially specifically with Poland and Germany and Czech Republic. They're all behind the Ukraine right now. So this is going to be
People are asking Germany to march across Poland to go fight Russia.
Isn't that interesting?
Huh.
Let's
This is part 3?
yeah.
Was that about forgotten history?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on from there. Let me just share out my screen here, and I will get the items.
No. I'm just looking. No.
Which one?
Anyways,
What?
the GSG.
Too late. GSG with 9-inch barrels are now available at Delask Arms. 9-inch from the factory, pretty much. Well, from Delask.
Yeah, no.
9-inch barrels.
No.
That's cool. That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, that's true. It's cool.
It's cooler than the long ones, right?
Yeah.
Anyways,
don't bring them to Maple Seed, please. That's all I'm asking, please.
you won't do well. It's not a great Maple Seed rifle.
No,
you're not great.
It's not.
The mag's in the wrong spot to put your hand underneath. The magazine's right there. The reliability is okay on some, not okay on others. And they're not just like they're a cool gun, but they're a cool like fun gun, not like a marksmanship gun. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. They would be a cool, fun gun to go blinking in the backyard if you have a safe space to blink in. By the way, who's ever listening?
Not in the city.
Yeah, not in the city.
Not in the city.
I've seen these show up at a couple of places. We talked about them when they were announced that they were bringing them in, but now retailers are getting these. The RA Wolverine folding pump 12 gauge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about this already?
When they were coming in, they weren't at retailers.
It was pre-orders. They weren't out.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of people who have shown videos of these. And one thing I didn't realize, guess how you reload the tube? You got to crack it open.
You got to
crack that thing open and then load the tube.
No way. Yeah. There's a failing there, I think.
So what's the retail on it? I haven't pulled this up.
Oh, it wasn't even that bad. It was.
I think it was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, okay, well that's enough for a fun gun. Come on.
They're pretty like. So the folding shotguns are really neat because you can, in a small case, you can take those out backpacking or small game hunting or something like that. Now those are all single shot. This is a pump, right? So you can hold a lot more shells, and it's got some more practicality to it. So it is pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
just hope you don't have to reload it.
Yeah. Speaking about weird guns and crappy reloading, Heritage Rough Rider Rancher carbine. 22 LR non-restricted 445 non-restricted cowboy gun. This is a revolver rifle in 22 for 445. That price is real attractive for how weird this thing is.
It is weird.
Very
now,
weird.
We all own Wranglers, so we all know how much of a pain in the ass it is to take the shells out and put new ones in. Same deal with this, but now we got a long boy barrel on it. So, well, maybe it's more accurate. Got a stock on it. It looks like someone took a revolver and grafted on some rifle stuff.
It's like
it's more accurate until you use that sling for support.
Yeah, don't do that.
It is so odd looking.
I want that barrel down your pants. Just bring it right up. Just saying. Anyways. No, it doesn't look cool.
No, Marksman is sold out of these things, but there are still some in country, and there's more coming in. This is cool. I think for $445, I might buy one of these things. That's a super interesting. That's super low cost. I bet you if you got one of these on sale, you bought one, and you messed around with it a bit, you could probably turn around and sell it for like $450 just as quick.
All right, you're up.
You go for it.
You go buy one.
I'm up. All right, the next one. This only matters if you're into 6.5 Grendel, but Spectre Ballistics has 6.5 Grendel, 145 grain full metal jackets for $18 per 20, which is very inexpensive for 6.5 Grendel.
Yeah, it is.
Not reloadable cases though, it's just steel case. But I don't know if you need some practice ammo or something like that. Most 6.5 Grendel ammo is like a lot more expensive, so it's nice to have like a cheap option.
Yeah,
little burner ammo. Yeah.
I had no idea what I was gonna see. The Citadel Levtac 92. I'm like, oh, what is this? It's gonna be a precision rifle, right? No, it's a tactic cooled out.
Oh yeah.
Win 94 style rifle in 44 Rem mag or 357 Magnum.
And if this is 4570, I'd be all over it.
Where the hell are you getting all of this?
Canadian
I saw a picture of this.
Yeah.
There's the obligatory feet pick there. Some crushed beer cans, crushed energy cans around it.
Oh dear. Anyways.
Yeah, and the fake suppressor and flashlight, reflex red dot sight. Yes.
Because that just says
big
tactical.
This is Wolverine Supplies has the attention to detail, I guess, when it comes to how to properly stage a lever action rifle.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they even said right in the title there, more feet.
More feet.
More feet.
Yeah, right up in the description
attention.
there, more feet for attention.
I love it. You know, a lot of gun shops used to be like super stodgy, and I like that they're not anymore.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Can we zoom in on
I
the
like
feet?
that. Not the feet, the gun.
No.
Oh, okay.
I just wish it was 4570.
Well, I was just gonna say you can go and find that on OnlyFans. But anyways, okay.
I don't need to go to OnlyFans for feet.
I don't know. I don't need to know about your foot guy. Let's talk about some ammo.
Not that kind of show. Oh.
Bullseye North has some 223 and 5.56 in stock again. It's going up in price.
It is.
So right now, their Winchester 223 is $809 per 1,000. Their Federal 223 is $899 per 1,000. So this stuff.
Did you? I saw recently that they were selling a powder and primer. Is that a really good, better price? Do you know if it's still on sale or not?
I don't.
Anyways, okay.
Did they have a sale? Did they have a sale on for powder primer? I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't see it.
Go check them out.
Maybe.
Yeah, I know they posted it recently. So, anyways.
That's all I
So
got.
on the ammo cost, when I was down at the range one of the days this week here, we got talking, and someone had said that they thought at one of the local shops they had seen some Winchester AA 12 gauge for like $110 a case or whatever. So of course somebody got on the phone getting ready to jump all over it. No, what they just got a shipment in of Winchester, just standard target load, not even AA. Take a guess how much case?
150.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
$150 for Winchester target load.
Mm-hmm.
Just cheap, crappy target load.
Yep.
Not even their good stuff. And it's like, my mind was just absolutely blown.
Oh, no. Cabela's had Remington Club target load for, I think it was just under $10. I think it was like $9 a box. Yeah.
Really?
They're out of stock now, but
yeah, I would have bet, because it's been $10 a box for years. So
has it? Oh man, I bought my I filled the back of my Jeep one time with stuff that was $650 per box. I filled it, like bending in, collapsing the back of my Jeep with shotgun target ammo. That would have been like 4 years ago or something like that. So like I'm the rich guy who doesn't know the price of a banana right now. So you guys talking about $10 a box? Like, that's outrageous. I'll never
I don't even
pay
talk
that.
about boxes. I usually buy cases, and lately I've just been buying through the club, so I get the club rate. But even the club rate's getting to the point where we were paying like 3 years ago. It's just insane. But let's move on to the main topic.
Hey everybody, so we're getting into the main topic. Tonight we'd like to welcome Matt Robinson from the Everyday Marksman. Hey Matt, thanks for coming on tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So I just have to let you know I'm a big fan. I've been listening to your backlog. We were chatting a little bit about it before we went on the air tonight as well. But so I found you. Funny enough, I found you because something called Maple Seed. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but
I do actually. It's funny because I have a bookmark open in my browser right now for Maple Seed because it's a database of a bunch of targets. And I'm like, these are really good targets to use.
Yeah.
Awesome. Challenges to use for these.
Anyways, so the reason how I found you is because which is our Canadian University Shooting Federation for the women's program. Anyways, long story short, when I was listening to your podcast, I heard you talking about Appleseed down in the US, and I went, oh, you know what? I'm going to reach out to you and see if you want to come on because we can talk about marksmanship. But then I started also looking at, some of the podcasts that you had, but then also looking at, well, okay, before we get into all that, why don't we talk about you specifically? What's your background? Where do you come from? Okay.
So the entire background, like all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
When you were born, maybe a little bit earlier.
So,
right from conception,
when a man and woman love each other, they tend to, so going back, my name's Matt Robertson. So, kind of the basic story goes back to, I was in military. So I was born and raised South Florida, but nobody cares about the entire history. My background's a little different, that I've always been a shooting nut. And it's kind of gradually escalated from there. But I spent a good 10 years as an officer in the U.S. Air Force, but my specialty was nuclear weapons. So I was an ICBM operator, hence we were talking about being stationed in Montana. So I was the guys down in the hole with the keys to launch the nukes. And, through all of that, I've learned quite a bit about, mental precision. Mental acuity is a pretty high demanding job, but also quite a boring job. So you have to find ways to keep yourself occupied. And having grown up in South Florida, hurricanes, a lot of the big ones everybody remembers. I lived there through them. So I've been there, done that. Montana blizzards, also the threat of nuclear war, as distant as it may have been at the time. Interesting today. And then, moved to California to become an instructor for the job I had just done in Montana. So teaching all the new officers coming through how to go do what I had done for several years. And as while I lived in California, I started getting a lot more serious about, well, let's go from casual shooting and watching Magpul DVDs and doing little informal competitions to let's actually make a serious go at this and put in the practice and learn all the little skills. So that's where I did Appleseed. That's where I started the original blog of the Everyday Marksman, which was more or less just my shooting journal for practice sessions. And it's just kind of evolved from there. No longer in the military, but now I am a professional instructor. I run an instructional organization for a tech company, and just kept the passion. So now I can still do shooting, still do the competing, still do a lot of the writing, and trying to find ways to help people.
That's awesome. Well, when I look at things, you said you started with the blog, but then you moved on to a podcast and your website. It's, by the way, it's very well done. The writing that you do, the articles that you do are really well done, researched. Also the podcast itself. Obviously you have great sound. Sound great tonight, by the way.
Thank you.
So
you'll find I'm a giant nerd. That's what it comes down to, is I am a giant nerd. So the website was first. I've always enjoyed writing, and that just gave me an outlet to write about things I was interested in. And because I'm a giant nerd, I'm like, well, how do I make this look better? I work at a software company, so I've learned from our UX team of like, how do you design better looking web pages and interfaces? I kept building on that. And the writing has been great. It's opened a lot of avenues I didn't ever expect I would get to do. But the podcast came later, when I said, sometimes I listen to a ton of podcasts. So why wouldn't I want to just get a microphone and start talking about the stuff I was writing about? And now doing YouTube as well. So I'm still working on I'm kind of weird in that I don't just cross post. Like whatever I do on a podcast or YouTube is not what's going to be on a podcast, and they're different things for doing different activities, but I haven't fully settled on what all those are yet.
Yeah, I noticed that a little bit too. So when I said specifically your articles, some of your articles are available on your website, but they're even stuff you haven't talked about in your podcast, vice versa, and all that as well. So when I went into the website specifically, I looked at the philosophy you have specific to the everyday marksman. Do you want to talk a little bit about your philosophy while you get started and putting out the website?
Yeah. So I don't know why anybody would follow me, to be honest. I don't know why anybody would listen to me. I'm not a professional shooter. I don't have national titles to my name. I'm not particularly good looking. I don't get people to send me the free stuff to go review and here's the latest and greatest. I like shooting, and my philosophy at it came that, not going politics, but I've been involved in the whole, at least in the US, the whole Second Amendment debate for a long time, to the point where I ended up losing friends over it about 10 years ago now. And it kind of got to the point where I realized the problem wasn't about being right. It was more a problem of people just don't understand. There was an education gap in there. That someone would look at like the collection of what's on my wall behind me and see, why do you have so many ARs, and why do you need that? And the point, that's not the point. That's a question of familiarity and education and fear. So I got to this point of realizing that I think what nobody was saying is there's more to all of the shooting and having, it's fun for sure, but there's more to it than the gun. That the marksmanship is one avenue towards something better. And the goal that I had worked out in my mind was that we're actually trying to get people to be more confident, more self-sufficient. Just, if something was to go wrong tomorrow, what would you do? And I think a lot of people end up in a situation where they don't think about that. And by nature of my background, I had to think about that a lot. So they don't think about that, and therefore it's not on the radar at all. Well, what would I do? And I found that I had success in those conversations just asking that kind of question. What would you do if this happened? Did you know there's a way you can learn how to do that better for yourself? You're not totally, you are a very capable person who is not totally dependent on the government to do something for you. I'm not interested in going to war with the government someday. That's a theme a lot of people like to write about. And that's, have at it. Not what I'm talking about. What I mean is just the everyday aspects of, in Canada or Montana, you got snowed in, you got stranded on the side of the road. You don't necessarily even need a rifle for that, but hey, do you know how to build a fire? Do you know how to hike your way out? Do you know how to navigate somewhere to safety? If you have a rifle and hey, there's civil unrest and there's a problem, do you know how to use it effectively? And to touch on the Ukraine thing, which is kind of the big elephant in the room, I had a tweet go out about this whole thing where I said, what troubles me about this, among many things, but is the number of people who are going to take away the message that when bad things are about to happen and some other country is rolling over the borders with tanks and the government is handing you a rifle, if this is your first time handling a rifle, you are way behind the curve. It's your duty to understand how to basic marksmanship, how to load, how to manipulate, how to have a basic kit, how do you stay alive, and then use that equipment in a way that's going to protect you and your family. And the time to learn how to do that is not when things are going drastically wrong all around you. It's way before that. And that's where I'm coming from.
We were joking around last week that the government should pay for javelin marksmanship with the civilians. Make sure everyone knows how to use this thing, or at least some people know how to use it, so that we're ready, because they seem to be pretty handy.
It's a funny thing that this is an unfortunate trend of a lot of places within the shooting world, that everybody focuses on hardware solutions to things. Instead of software. And by software, I mean that what do you know how to do and what are you good at doing yourself? And a lot of people will go out and spend, I would just be that much better if I spent an extra $500 on that scope or that trigger or that, whatever, when you would probably be that much better and more if you spent $250 on ammo to go practice. And,
correct. And good training to practice correctly.
And good training, right. And where I think I had a conversation with a US PSA Grandmaster a few weeks ago, where we're talking about pistol shooting, and the topic came up that there is a certain point where most people, you can teach them the basics and the fundamentals, and you can get them to a point where they are good enough, like they know how to pull the trigger right, they know how to align sights, they know the basics, that's good enough that then, should you need to, you can bump them the next 20%,
right?
Relatively quickly, but you don't have to start from zero every time. Yes,
that's part of what Project Appleseed was doing with people down there, and also from the perspective you were talking about the Second Amendment and that. But it's a conversation that we're having a little bit more and more because of what's happening in the Ukraine. But Canada has been having this conversation for the last little while prior to the Ukraine, because of some of the stuff that's happening here as well. The other thing we have seen is with the pandemic, people are also wondering about, especially when things first happened with the pandemic, people were wondering about supply chain issues and different things like that. So it's what you were talking about previously about being prepared. What happens? What happens if there is a supply chain issue and you need to go and hunt? Are you capable to do that? So your philosophy is one that actually is quite interesting. It's also about giving back to the community. You want to spread this information to people so that they have it and they understand. As you said, you're not an expert, but you're actually somebody else. You're an everyday marksman. You're the everyday person that's trying to put this stuff together.
Yeah, and that's the key. Is you want. I don't think people of the gun world should have a monopoly on knowing how to take care of themselves. That's something that you can teach anybody how to do, and that's beneficial to a human to know how to protect yourself, how to find food, how to survive. Well,
so I went through the website itself, and as I said, you have your website, you have your podcast on there, you can listen to your podcast, you can read the articles, etc. But you've broken down the website into 6 different categories or topics as well. You want to talk about those?
Sure.
Okay.
So it kind of on the whole philosophy here.
Yeah.
The 6 topics, obviously number 1 is marksmanship. That's kind of the root of everything. Actually, let me just listen first and I'll go down a little bit more specific. So marksmanship, equipment, skill set. So that's like your survival skills, physical fitness, mindset, and then kind of your resources and where do you go from there. Marksmanship was first. And my general belief on marksmanship is that it on top of being able to be practical, I need to hunt food. I want to win a competition. I want to protect myself. There's also, there's been several authors who said this. I like to quote Jeff Cooper, but he had this belief that when someone was a really good marksman, they were probably a good person, because there's a certain level of discipline and mental focus that goes along with being able to do that well. Equipment is they go hand in hand with each other. And, to be honest, it's one of those funny things is, equipment articles end up being the most popular. Nobody likes to be preached of how to go do skills. But everybody loves a good a gear article, and I'm a gear nerd, so it works out.
Yeah. Well, you and Adriel get along well then. So just saying. Okay.
So then we get into the physical fitness side of it, which is something that, again, I think gets left out a lot. And I'm not going to blame this on nature of the military. That's part of it. I've never been a particularly great example of physical fitness. It's an aspirational thing that I'm always working on, but there's 2 sides to this. One, it's about being healthy and capable. You could look at it from you're raised in a family, setting the example for the next generation. So be healthy and fit so that you can keep up with your kids. On the other hand, there's aspects to it of survival. I actually just posted this on a podcast on Tuesday with my wife, where there's research, and I don't have the book in front of me, that talks about, the stronger you are, if you were to get into a car crash tomorrow and go on life support, how long you survive depends on how much muscle mass you have. It's directly correlated to that.
Yeah.
It's like ballistics out of a rifle. The fastest that bullet's ever going to be is as it leaves the muzzle, and then gravity and wind will do its thing. So give yourself the best advantage possible.
Yeah.
And then third, it is about being able to, get the job done. I think a lot of people imagine themselves as the port sniper who's going to sit up in the second floor of their house, and anybody comes in 500 yards of my house, okay. There's a lot of things wrong with that, but one of those is when was the last, like, people talk about buying all the gear, so I don't have it on the back up there, but I added this all up. If you figure out again, AR, I'm an American, so American centric. You figure out an AR-15, 7 magazines, water, food, medical kit, all the stuff you're going to wear. You end up somewhere around 40 to 50 pounds of equipment that you're wearing.
Yep.
So the average person who's thinking like this, when was the last time they put on 50 pounds of gear and went walking for 10 miles?
If you talk to Canadians, most of them never.
Americans are the same way.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's why fitness matters. Is it's just not often talked about because it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Skill set. So that's where you get into the things that are not necessarily shooting and fitness, but that's, land navigation. So I know Linda and Keith, we had talked about in my interview with them, we talked about, hey, like would love to talk more about land navigation, not with GPS. Compass and map.
Yeah.
Do you know how to read that correctly? Do you know how to do grids? Do you know how to follow terrain features?
Yeah.
I often tell people, like, by nature of where I went in the Air Force, at the start of it, it was actually all one career field, that nuclear weapons and space systems is all the same career field. So I was also trained as a space officer. I know how GPS works. I also know how it can be, how it cannot work.
Yeah.
And if you're relying on that for all of your needs, you're gonna be having a problem.
Yeah. Equipment fails, by the way.
Yeah. So, absolutely. So always have backups. So besides land navigation, I mean, communications, I've got my radios set up here behind me, but do you know how to communicate with people? Do you know how to start a fire? Do you know how to build a shelter? Hunters are good at this one. They can build blinds and shelters and things out of tarps, but a lot of people, especially in city dwellers, don't have any clue, how would you keep yourself warm and protected from the elements? It doesn't take much, but you can do it.
No.
So that's the skill set side of things. Then you also, small unit tactics, and that's all fun too. Mindset is the last one on there I'll throw in, which is, what's your mental game like? And that was actually the interview I had with Linda and Keith, was their Secrets of Mental Marksmanship book, because your mind is so much of your success.
Yeah.
It's not always in your gear. It's rarely actually in your equipment. It's in your mind of, where are you at? Are you someone who thinks like a winner? Are you someone who believes you're going to survive? One of my favorite interviews was with Mike Moore. He was a U.S. Army Special Forces SEER instructor. So SEER being survival evasion resistance escape. So, we were talking about survival skills, and he had a really funny quote in there that was, you have to know in your mind, your willpower, you have to know that you're going to survive. You're going to get out of there, if for no other reason than to piss off the mortgage company. Or your ex-wife. But,
okay.
Nice.
But it's just that it's this mental game you have to play with yourself, that it's not even a question, but you're in it and you're going to win. And I think a lot of people don't have that. And the counter story to that is a coworker of mine who, we were talking about the zombie apocalypse one day. This is probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And I started posing. I was like, all right, well, what would you do if this happened? And of course, at this point, people are starting to learn my interests and hobbies and know that I'm, into the outdoors, into shooting. And he looked at me, and he's born and raised in like urban Washington, DC.
Okay.
And he looked at me and said, I'm pretty sure I would just curl up in my apartment and die. Just whatever happens is going to happen. And in my head, I'm just like, that's sad. Like, no one should put themselves, like, think that that's your only option, because you mentally haven't processed you could do something else. That was one of the reasons I started the website also. That's
awesome. People actually, when we think about it, so if you have one of those pieces and you're really good at it, let's say you're good at the fitness piece, you also need to be able to have that winning mindset, as well as you need to be able to have the skills and development and the resources available to you, and to have those marksmanship skills or a combination of them so that you actually can survive. Because if not, like I was listening to, I think it was Jocko, and he was talking about there was some people that were Navy SEALs, and they were up against some people that had survived Vietnam, and they were thinking that the Navy SEALs were going to actually survive this, but the guys that were all fit and all that, and it was actually the guys that made it through in Vietnam that actually walked away from it, because of the fact that they knew that they actually had been through stuff and they can actually get through it again, and it's not all about fitness. you do have to put it in skills, and you have to actually marry everything together as well. I think that's one of the reasons why I was really intrigued by your website and your podcast as well, is because you take everything and how it's all linked together as well. And then those conversations that you have with people, you have some really cool people on your podcast, by the way. So you had Ilya Cushion on there. He is one of the funniest men that I've actually ever listened to. So for those that don't know him, do you want to tell everybody who he is?
So Ilya is I consider Ilya a friend at this point. We talk quite a bit. So Ilya is has a lot to say also about what's going on in Ukraine.
Yeah. I imagine. Yeah.
So Ilya is a Russian-born, living in America. I won't say where. I'm not sure if he's published all that stuff yet. But by trade, he is an optical physicist. So he is one of those 50-pound brains who figures out how to do optical sighting systems for the kind of things that you would find on classified aircraft and stuff like that in the U.S. military and government. And he is also a shooting nerd like me, except he is much more into the optical side of things. And he loves to bust me over, calling me like an Air Force guy would do all kinds of stuff to him. So we've had some pretty good conversations. He is a wealth of information about optics, and he does not mind whatsoever calling out when he thinks something is BS. If somebody's marketing something that he's like, yeah, that's not how that works, he will say it. And I know he's made a few enemies in the optics manufacturing world as well, but also a lot of good friends, because I know they're going to be straight up with him.
Yeah, he is. He will give you the straight up on whatever optic you're looking at. And from his collection, from what I know, he has everything. Some really interesting stuff as well. So, and as I said, he's hilarious when you start listening to him, and he will call a spade, basically. So, who are some of your favorite guests?
So going back, I mean, actually one of my very first ones was actually, I'm going to credit John with a lot. So John Simpson was my very first interview. And a lot of those really cool guests I had after that were because they were his friends. And he was like, yeah, you should go talk to this guy, including Linda and Keith.
Yeah.
And so John Simpson's up there. And I wish I could do John better justice, because I'm so much better at editing podcasts now than I was when I interviewed him. I would love to have him back and actually talk through some of this stuff again and do a better job of it. That one was great. And Mike Moore, the SEER instructor, was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, now I can't remember everybody. Actually, so this is more recent. That hasn't been on the podcast, but it's been on the YouTube channel. I've had some really great conversations with Doc Larson.
Oh, okay. He's a friend of mine.
Oh, really? So yeah, Doc Larson from One Shepherd.
Yeah.
We've had some really great conversations just about, kind of this aspect of what does it mean. So the project I've been working on is called Minimum Capable Citizen, which is what is in all these areas, whether it's pistol shooting, rifle shooting, survival skills, physical fitness. What is that minimum across the board that we should expect everybody to get to? Almost what we would have said Boy Scouts or doing Scouts back in the day was all about, which everybody understands. That was all considered an aspect of universal military training. It was teaching these skills, especially to young boys who, should a draft come, then they already knew how to do a lot of these things. And we've lost that a bit. So we had a really great conversation around what are those skills again, and where should we start drawing a line for what do we know how to do with them? Oh man, I can't even give you some of my favorite conversations, but I've had some. Okay,
what about topics? What's your favorite topics have you had? even in the articles.
Yeah. So my favorite stuff I like to write about is actually the skills side of things. What are the things that you're probably not doing, or that you've always thought you should do, but you haven't done it for whatever reason? The ancillary things that nobody thinks about. I mean, I enjoy a good gear article. Like I said, some of those popular ones on the site are, how to pick the right AR-15 barrel or rifle barrel, or how to set up your load bearing equipment. And those are fun, but that's the kind of thing, if you put in the time, you can find that anywhere. The stuff that people aren't writing as much about is stuff I really enjoy. And that's what's it actually like to go out and build a shelter, and what do you learn from doing that? I also really like writing the after action reviews. Like when I get to go to shoot a competition or do an Appleseed, writing out here's what I actually learned out of this. and also highlighting when I did not do well at something. I think that's always a good lesson to teach as well.
Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Oh, good.
But what I did want to say, not only do you write articles, you have other people write articles as well. And you had Allison, by the way, say thank you to her because she did a review on the Defender leggings, and I want to say thanks for that, by the way.
Oh, I will. I'll definitely let her know.
So women appreciate other women doing reviews as well. So
she wants to do more. We just need to find more stuff for her to do.
Awesome. Okay. So you did talk about Appleseed, and then I did hear you talk about it a little bit on your podcast as well. So what's your experience, your personal experience with respect to Appleseed?
So Appleseed was one of those things. So I had to rewind the clock back to 2014.
Okay.
So this goes back 2014. And I was living in California, and I had heard about Appleseed. It was probably through whatever message board that I was trolling, and I troll a lot of them quietly. I don't always post, but I read a lot. And I remember seeing the topic come up, and I was like, what is this thing I keep seeing people talk about? So I Googled it, looked up the program, like, oh, this is what I'm writing about. And keeping in mind, I had just started the original blog probably about 3 months earlier, where I was like, I want to get more serious about my shooting. And what better way than to have what seems like a great review of marksmanship fundamentals. So I found one that was about an hour and a half away, and signed up and went and did it. So I did it for 2 days. I went so far as to, no, I think I already had it. So I brought along an AR-15.
Okay.
California'd up. So 10-round magazines with the finicky little bullet button, which now they banned that too.
Okay. It's like Canada all over. All right.
Yeah. So I did all the things they wanted me to do. I brought along a ammo can full of cheap 55 grain, whatever. Now everybody else there is running 22, like Ruger 1022s. One guy in the first day had an AK. He didn't make it the first full day before they bailed. But I didn't make very many friends around me because they're all shooting 22s, and I'm ejecting hot, 223 brass at them all day. And it was loud, but it really was a fantastic introduction into here's the marksmanship fundamentals. I love the storytelling aspect.
Yeah. The 3 strikes.
Yeah. The 3 strikes of the match, that whole storytelling. Now, to someone like me, who's also a history nerd, none of that was new. But the way it was presented in between each evolution of the staging was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So first day gets done, and I'm like this close to getting the patch. I'm like, I'm definitely going to get it the next day. So I go back in the next day and do it all again, do more training, more of it. And I still never get the patch. I think I get within 2 points of it. But one of my lessons learned out of that one was dehydration will absolutely mess with you. I had brought along 2 gallons of water and failed to drink any of it over the course of 2 days in the California desert.
Yep.
So by the time I got about into the second day, about halfway, my vision was blurring up. I couldn't focus anymore, and my scores just started going down because I just couldn't do it. So that was one of my big lessons learned.
Yeah.
But then I took my lessons back from that, and I kind of told myself, look, I took away the right lessons here. Like I'm hitting everything I need to hit, and there was some things I could have done better, and I'm going to do that. So I just kept practicing and kept writing about it and kept practicing, and I need to go back and do another one. I bought stacks of all the targets, and I take them to the range pretty regularly, so I know I can do well with it.
Yeah.
I just need to actually go do it again. I'll probably take a 22 this time.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. You've already got everything under your belt. Let's just go and do it with the 22, and yeah, it's a little cheaper as well.
Yeah, especially these days.
There's something to be said about getting the practice in though with your your chosen rifle, whether it be an AR. I was just talking to someone who wants to come to a Maple Seed with a Type 81, and they were asking about that. And I was like, you can, and he was like, my goal is to get familiarity with this rifle. Okay, you'll get it.
Go.
Yeah.
And that's actually so the difference between a Maple Seed, by the way, and an Appleseed is that we do 1-day clinics as opposed to 2 days. So we crunch everything into the 1 day. We don't have the history, so we don't do the 3 strikes, by the way. Although I was an instructor down in the US with Project Appleseed, and I went and did the tour in Boston, Massachusetts. So I actually did the second strike at the bridge, but
Nice. I was in Boston a couple of years ago for a work trip, and I took along my camera, and like I hate to say I shortchanged the customer, but I tried to get done a little earlier so I could go walk the Freedom Trail with my camera and
It's
take
awesome,
pictures of
isn't
all
it?
the main spots. And it was
Yeah.
just, it was cool. Like, oh, here's Boston Massacre. Just here's the building. Here's the spot it happened. All right, I'm gonna go to the church house and just
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. If you can, anybody who is interested in history, go down to Boston, go down to Massachusetts, and go and do that. It is an amazing tour. If you can get people that are familiar with the Revolutionary War as well, to go and do that with them. And yeah, anyways, but
That's cool. I mean, I live in Virginia, so even here in Virginia, there's a ton of history. So
there is. So PRS, you also did a recently. I don't know how recent is it? Your first PRS
September.
match?
So September.
Yeah. So it's pretty recent. So what was your takeaways on that?
All right. So the setup for that one is I had wanted to get into long range shooting going back to 2012. So that's my first bolt action rifle. It's sitting back there. Now it's out of focus over here. So it's a Howa 1500 and 308.
Nice.
That, sitting in a Manners stock, bedded, DBM, all the works. And then did I ever compete with it? Nope. Because by the time I got done with it, they weren't in it. It's stupid, honestly. I kind of made some poor decisions. I still really like the rifle though. But now ammo prices being what they are, and I was like, hey, I would like to try this out with rimfire. So there is a great shooting facility fairly close to me, Peacemaker National Training Center, West Virginia.
Yeah.
And they were hosting a PRS rimfire match. So I had been writing a bunch of articles about using rimfire as a substitute for long range training, especially with 308, because the ballistics actually work relatively close, just at dramatically shorter distances. Yeah. And I was like, all right, give it a shot. I had just built up my own rimfire rifle. So it's a Tikka T1X in a Oryx chassis. And so I signed up, just went for it. I actually did pretty well. I would say I finished I think I finished number 10. And, I didn't do great. It was my first match. It was my first time doing anything where I was having to dial precision scope during the match. And my key takeaways, number one, who you compete alongside is a huge factor and just mental game. I didn't know it when I signed up, but the people who were in my squad, because when I signed up, I think I was the first one to sign up and get squatted. So I just squad one. Why not? And turns out that like 5 of the other people in my squad were the people who win the thing every time they run it. So here I am, first timer, watching the champions every time, watching how they do it. And of course they're offering me like, hey, do you need to use this? Do you need my bag? And I'm like, I appreciate it, but no, I'm going to go for what I've got. But it was really interesting to watch how they ran through the stages. Mm-hmm. And you kind of feel a little bit of extra confidence from that. But things I did not do well. Number one is,
did you drink water?
Yes. No, I remembered that one from Appleseed. So I definitely had my pack with a 3 liters of water. Now the first thing I learned was keep your gun lubricated.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I actually didn't lubricate the bolt on my Tikka, and I started having feeding malfunctions by about the second stage because I would run it and then it would catch the rounds below it. I borrowed somebody's lube and fixed it up after like a stage or 2 of this causing problems. But that gets to problem number 2 I had, which was I didn't actually bring along a way to carry extra magazines. So I was just shoving them in my pocket. Okay. So, in a stage where you're only expected to shoot 8 rounds and I load 10 in the magazine and I don't think I'm going to have to reload, that doesn't seem like it'd be a problem until you have a malfunction. And now you're wasting time trying to fix a malfunction and saying, screw it, ripping the magazine out and then going to fish the other one out of your pocket when you're all like in a weird kneeling position. It didn't work. Like it ate so much time. So pro tip I have learned since then is that if you have a S-Tac Kaiwi, like a little pistol magazine holster, Tikka T1X magazines fit great right into the top of that and you just rip it out. So that was number 2. Number 3, and this is not a negative that I learned, but it's something more that was just, I thought was really cool, and that is trust the math. So I did all the ballistic work. I had my chrono numbers. I was shooting Lapua Center X. So I had all my chrono numbers, my averages, standard deviations. I ran all the numbers through JBM Ballistics, and I had my dope cards, which I didn't ever use because it turns out that every stage, the distances, so it's easier to run your numbers right there for every target. But it worked. If the thing said, hey, you need to dial 6.2 mils. Okay, I'll trust it. Dialed 6.2 mils, dead on.
How was the wind, by the way?
Wind actually was not bad that day. I shot competitions there before with 30 knot winds, and that was terrible. But no, wind that day wasn't too bad. So I don't think I ever missed a shot in the wind, except for there was one target. It was a bonus stage where the target was at 480 yards. Okay. 480 yards, 480 meters. I hit 3 out of 10 on that one.
Okay.
But that was also because my scope ran out I couldn't dial any further. And my reticle also was like on the last possible notch of like the tree.
Yeah.
And so I was just like having to guess.
Hoping a prayer.
Yeah. I was just guessing.
So what's your big takeaway from that? Like, I liked reading your articles on specifically you. Again, you're an everyday marksman. That's your handle. So, and it's specific to you and how your experiences were. But specific to that, what's your thoughts on, what's your goals for it? Because you do actually write about establishing goals in that as well.
Yeah. So I don't know, my goal for that one, honestly, was I really wanted to I wanted to test the things that I had been writing about were actually, correct.
Mm-hmm.
That, hey, like this is how this works. This is the best way to approach this one. I was testing that. I was validating my own equipment, which was, was pretty apparent pretty quick that was fine, except for the not lubricating the bolt. And I think it was honestly just to have fun. And that's the thing that's been lately is fun is allowed.
Yeah.
A lot of people get super serious and everything. They forget that, like, you know what? It's okay to go have fun with something. So I would say that was probably the big ones. I didn't really have a specific goal. Something I will add, though, I thought was a good takeaway that I think it speaks back to marksmanship fundamentals is that one of the stages was about 40 meters standing. So you had to stand at 40 meters, and the target was a little rack that had like the playing card shape, so a spade, a diamond, a heart, and they're about that big. But standing, holding up this rifle, and I would say about 2/3 of the squad I was on struggled with that. They were so used to resting the rifle up on bags and doing that positional thing that holding the rifles up in a traditional standing with a sling. Actually, half of them didn't even have a sling. I was the only one running a sling the entire day. But I mean, not to brag on it, I drilled those targets really quick. It just nailed them because that was something I had actually practiced a lot. Was shooting from the standing. So that's her bonus. That was another good thing I really enjoyed about that one. It validates, what you have practiced so far.
Awesome.
Yeah, you get to try that. You get to try that hasty sling from Appleseed, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot what sling I was actually running that day. I think it was a short action precision.
Okay.
A sap sling.
Okay. So one of the things we're going to tie this up and wrap things up. But before we do, I want to talk to you a little bit about the challenges. You have a lot of you have a section specifically for challenges. So target challenges, different things, marksmanship challenges. Yeah. So there was one in there which was the Minutemen. Mm-hmm. Go Get Better was another one that I saw, which I actually
the Go Getter. Yeah.
The Go Getter, right? The 12-mile ruck. A couple of our friends of ours are doing that currently right now, and they're doing great at it. They challenged us to do it. Yeah, none of us did it.
One of my latest favorites is the kettlebell mile. I can check that one out.
Yeah, okay. And then pistol fundamentals as well. So you have actual targets in there that people can print off, and they can upload and print off, and then go and do it. So, so any other challenges or anything that you have coming out, or you want to tell people about it?
So funny that the Marksman challenges, there's a bit of a history there of So I had started a community aspect to all this, a few years ago, where there was a message board and people post, and I had all these things where you could earn badges for doing the challenge. So if you go back to all the old ones, you see like those different badges with stars and things on them. And the idea was it was in the education world we call it gamification. It was like earning achievements in video games. But I mean, the forum eventually went away. It was fun to have, but we switched over running Discord anyway. So that's kind of where it all takes place now, which doesn't do badges, but I still do the challenges. But originally they were once a month. And the goal of every challenge was to test some aspect of what the Everyday Marksman was about, whether it's fitness, the rucking challenge, or it was a skill set, such as like building a survival shelter in under a minute or under a minute and a half. Or it was a straight marksmanship challenge with rifle or pistol. So those were all fun. Some of the ones like Go Getter was just about how do you set a proper goal and then go achieve it? And that came out of a belief that a lot of times people really do well mentally when they can get those small wins. Just set a goal, we're here to help hold you accountable to it, and then go achieve it. There was another one in there, I think it was like the peer trainer, which is just like, hey, come back to the community and teach others how to do something that you know how to do, like make a video about how to do it. Again, getting that idea of community sharing with others what you know how to do. So I don't post them monthly anymore. Mostly at this point, it's when something comes up that, hey, I think that would be a good one to do, then I'll post it. And that gets to the whole, right, how often do I post stuff? So that's a whole separate rabbit hole, but it basically comes down to like, there are certain rules of the internet. If you want to be a content creator, that you have to post every so often. So, and unfortunately for me, that tends to make me run in waves of burnout at times, because I'll get into a phases where, especially running 3 different avenues now, where I got to write an article a week, I got to post something on YouTube a week, and I got to do a podcast every week, on top of having a pretty busy day job and a family with a toddler. So, if I actually try to do all of that, it ends up in some pretty bad burnout, and that doesn't help anybody. So now it's kind of, I can write every week, and then I'll alternate back and forth between YouTube and thing. It's really, I'm not in it anymore to try. And if there was a time where I was like, I'm going to make this my full-time job. Like I'm going to leave my job and be an internet guy. And then after I saw what that was going to take, and turns out that if you run a gun website, that's way more difficult to do. Because literally everybody does not want you to succeed. So no, now I kind of backed off of that. Now it's when I think there's a good idea.
So you talked about a little bit, you're on Project Maple Seed, and there's some targets there. Upload them, try them out, see if you like them. They're a little different.
Oh yeah, it's funny because I have actually the PDF open right now, where I was looking at like some of these things. I'm just like, I really like the way this is structured, and of course I would give, like, I'm not going to like steal credit for that. I got this from Project Maple Seed. but there's one I've got here that's I was planning on doing this one. Was it this one? Here it is. No, you can't see my screen, but it's challenge number 6. Take your time, and it's 3 columns. And there's different size circles with decreasing size, so everyone has increasing points. And you get 10 rounds, and you got to make decisions. Like that's the kind of thing I love. Is like there's one I did recently called Make Effective Decisions, or Make Effective Choices, MEC challenge, which is similar, where there's 3 size targets on this piece of paper, and you don't have much time or ammo, so you have to choose. Do you take the easy shot, or do you try and game it and go for that extra difficult one, that knowing that if you miss anything, you're done, like you get nothing.
By the way, I saw that you hit the shingle. So on your article that you posted about Maple Seed or Apple Seed.
I know it was so frustrating, honestly, that I hit the shingle, but I couldn't get the patch because my brain was just not able to hold it together for the particularly the kneeling stage. That's the one that got me the most.
You know what the difference is? The difference is you're not actually shooting for a patch when you're doing the red coats.
Oh yeah.
For those of you don't know about Appleseed, you're shooting a red coat target, so you're actually not earning. It's a fun target now. So you're relaxing.
Yeah, there's nothing hanging in the balance. The outcome depends on this.
Well, actually, so Adriel is the shoot boss for Project Maple Seed out in Alberta, and I'm here in Ontario. So everything's a contest with us. So the actual measurements, we call them the Mad Minute as opposed to the Red Coat target. There was a sandwich on the line.
For which province could produce more improvement?
Better results or
Kelly
more
won.
improvement.
I mean, when there's food on the line, that's always a motivator.
I even
Right,
tried putting the pressure on people. It didn't work.
I think that's what actually happened. People fell apart because they were feeling pressured. Yeah.
No,
I love the shingle story though. I love the story behind the shingle and
Yeah.
why that matters. And like
Do you want to tell people about it? Do you
What's
remember?
that?
Do you want to tell people about it?
Oh, so yeah. I mean, Daniel Morgan's rifleman, like that's
Yeah.
So all right. So no, see now I feel like I have to go pick out one of the targets and show it.
Do you have one there?
They're in my crate, so you can't see.
Okay.
I have my gear crates behind me. I really don't. I want anybody to like watch me have to go dig around in that to find it. So I'll just have to describe it.
Okay.
And you have to tell me if I'm wrong.
All right.
Hold you to it. So the whole story goes: Daniel Morgan's rifleman. Daniel Morgan, American Revolution. He was a frontiersman, and a skilled marksman, and he built up this unit of shooters who were credited with lots of interesting things. I wrote actually a short biography of him as an article like early on, and but you had to like work to be in his group, and they were. If anybody remembers the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson, that character was an amalgamation of several different people throughout the Revolutionary War, not the least of which Francis Marion, but Daniel Morgan was in there too, because Daniel Morgan was known for his tactics of shooting the officers and being very accurate, shooting from the tree lines, not from open fields, and trying to pick out their targets, which means they had to be very accurate with their Kentucky long rifles. And so to join his rifleman corps, you basically were given a test. They got, I believe it was a 7-inch shingle, and they would set it out. I don't remember how far now.
400 meters.
400. Okay. So you get 400 meters. Yeah. There you go. So it's the small dot on there.
Yeah.
So you put that, they put a 7-inch shingle out there and you got one shot. If you hit the shingle, you became a rifleman. If you didn't, you became a cook.
Yeah. So it's one shot out of a cold bore. And if you hit the shingle, then you joined his rifleman. And if not, you're making dinner for everybody. So a lot of people wanted it. A lot of people wanted to join his group, but not a lot of people were able to. So that's why I said I saw that you hit the shingle.
And every time I take every time I make it a point wherever I can to take new people out who've never shot before, and just kind of run through the whole process of like get them comfortable and then take them. But every time I do, I always bring one of those targets and I tell them the story and see if they can do it.
That's awesome. We should start doing that with Mad Minutes then. Our as I said, our history is not the same, obviously. But one of the things before we close out the interview, so I read through The Truth About AR Marketing, by the way. It's one of your better, or not one of your better. It's all your articles are really good. But obviously we have some interest in the AR aspect of things, because right now ours are in our safes, nice and safe and not shooting anything. But anyway, so I read through it, but there was something that you said that specifically spoke to me. So I'm going to read it if that's okay with you.
All right.
All right. So The Truth About AR Marketing. You said, stay out of the caliber wars. Buy something that's good enough to be reliable and shoot it so much that it becomes second nature. Buying a gun capable of a quarter MOA does absolutely no good for you if you're an 8 MOA shooter. All the accuracy in the world doesn't account for a hill of beans if you can't make a win call to save your life. I love that. Just have to say. So what it means is, as a marksman, get the fundamentals under you and practice, and then go and buy that rifle, basically. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Is it? Yeah. I thought on the screen you said that, and you looked to your right. So I didn't know if you were asking about else. No, that's what it is. This is the thing I beat the drum over the most when it comes to people who want to buy an AR-15 or really any rifle or any gun. Is the most important thing to you right now is it needs to be reliable.
Yeah.
Period. Like that's the number one factor. And then it doesn't need to be particularly great at anything. In fact, another article to say that the more you tailor any particular weapon towards a specific use, the worse you make it at others. That's true. If you are a beginner who can't even take advantage of those extra special things because you're an MOA shooter, then it doesn't matter. And you're just throwing money at something that's not going to do you any good other than showing off for Instagram. Which, hey, I'm here for it if that's what you want to do. Yeah. But, and there's so many other little skills that go into things. And the marksmanship fundamentals is just the one that gets lost in the wind so much because people assume that, well, I can do this from a bench. I'm good.
Yeah.
And what I can, and they'll say, well, I'll never use this in the real world is another one. So just to dispel that one. A few years ago, I did a small unit tactics class in West Virginia. And, here it is. We're 4-man teams and we're like firing and maneuvering our way up a jungle lane with pop-up targets that are scattered out in front of us. And at no point throughout all of this, and you were having to take cover along the way, but at no point was I ever able to take a proper kneeling position like you would an apple seed. You couldn't do it. The roots on the ground, there's rocks under your feet, you're on a hill. But what stood out was the fact that I had spent so much time practicing how to do that well meant that I didn't even think about it. I was just you're so ingrained in the movement of, all right, this is a proper position that even when you can't get a totally proper position, your mind quickly goes to a good enough. Like it knows natural point of aim well enough to say, all right, well, that one's not going to work out. I can balance this way. Go. And then you're up and going. And then also that goes to the fitness side, because if you're up and down every dash 10 yards, go back down, get up, dash 10 yards. That's also exhausting.
Yeah.
I wore a heart rate monitor on those and I actually got up into the 160s, 170s.
Wow. Yeah. Those, lots of fun. Adriel, anybody, you guys have been jumping in a little bit, but do you have anything for Matt before we let him go? Any questions?
No, it's awesome. I agree with a lot of the stuff you're talking about. I think.
Don't you agree? I agree with a lot. What don't you agree with? Tell me I'm wrong.
It goes on my list.
Ilya has no problem telling me I'm wrong, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, hunting rifles. People get stuck up on it's MOA or like 3/4 MOA. It does not matter for a hunting rifle. Does not matter. And every once in a while, you see someone, and some of the guys can actually make use of it. Some guys take their ELR setups hunting, and they can make use of it. A lot of guys take their bipod and all sorts of heavy crap on their hunting rifle, and it just makes for a miserable hunting experience. And they should have just gotten good at shooting so that they could make that shot standing at 100 meters and been confident about it, rather than winging the deer or having to go prone because their gun was too heavy and they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
One of my favorite hunting stories. I've never done hunting, but the range I shot at Montana, where I got started with my ARs and was starting to do long range. I remember this was one of my introduction to that hunter, if you know what I mean, where I'm sitting at the bench, sighting in my AR, and I'm doing okay. I wasn't a great shooter by means, but I'm doing okay. I'm definitely better than minute of pie plate. And one of these guys walks along and starts to ask me questions about it. That's one of the AR. You ain't going to go hunting with that, are you? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe, I could probably get a deer inside 200 yards with this if I did my target. He's like, he just scoffed me like, what? You just see the rage in his eyes, like, whoa. And he wanders away, where, puts on his Realtree hat and breaks out his 300 Win Mag, and then proceeds to blast at a target that was 100 yards away. And we're talking like a side, and he didn't hit it. Instead, he's blowing out the side of the wood berm like 3 feet to the right of the target, and thinking, well, that's good enough to hit the deer. And I'm just like, that's why you think you need 300 Win Mag.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
I was about to tell him that. I just like to tell stories about him.
All right. Where can people find you? So where are you located?
Right. So the best place to find me, honestly, the hub of everything is everydaymarksman.co. Here, I want to throw up on the thing again, just because that's easier. So the website is everydaymarksman.co.co. A lot of people wonder where the M went. It's because the domain was taken, and they wanted me to buy it from them, and I couldn't afford to do it. So I got a .co domain. So have at it. So it is everydaymarksman.co. And that's pretty much the hub of everything. From there, you can get the articles, the podcast is there, it links to the YouTube channel, it links to the email list. The email list is and anything shooting related, it's the best way to help creators out, is because so many other platforms will just kick you out for no reason, but the email list is mine.
Yeah. So,
I don't spam it. It's pretty much there to help. Here's new articles that come out, or, every once in a while, if I have kind of a bonus article that comes out, like I occasionally will write reviews for magazines. And that's one of the things the website has gotten me the privilege to get to do, is to publish stuff. So I won't publish my thoughts on certain things to the website because somebody else paid me to do it for them. But it doesn't mean, like, if it's in a thing, here, look at this 5-minute, here's my thoughts on this kind of video that comes out. So just like a little bonus stuff like that. But that's the way to find me.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thanks for coming on tonight. Really enjoyed
thank you
it.
for having me. It was a great time.
Great conversation. And, hey, if you're ever up here, come on up to a Maple Seed. I shouldn't say it like that. It sounds like, well, yeah, we have an accent, don't we? Anyways.
Not that accent.
No, not that accent. But you're always welcome up here. And hope to see you. Either up here or down there, or, I'll be listening for sure. So thanks again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Awesome.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Once again, thank you, Matt, for joining us tonight and sharing what you do, your experience. And that was quite the conversation and background.
Very similar, like as he was talking about all the stuff he did, it was like, oh man, it's so like, I work in a tech company. I started with my website first,
right?
Like game practice writing, did the videos, and now doing the podcast too. Like, oh man, this is so similar.
Adriel. I said, this is Adriel.
He learned things faster though. He's like all into the training like early on, and I was dumb and I just like did gadgets and gear and stuff like that for the first little bit. I didn't get any training, and I was bad at shooting until I got that training in.
I do think that you guys would be fast friends though if you did meet in person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems like a great
going on too. Yeah.
His podcast and his YouTube and everything, it's very well done, very well edited. So kudos to him on that. Mm-hmm. So just saying, much better than we are.
Oh, don't say that.
A little more concise and to the point, and
yeah, it's some really good guests. Oh my god, really good.
We've had really good guests too.
Yeah. Okay, don't get mad at me. Yes, we did. We have.
He's still better though.
Yeah.
Jeez. Negative Nancy. Oh my god.
Well, let's move on to listener feedback. Listener feedback is sponsored by Armory DC Gunsmith. He's a full-service gunsmith who specializes in firearms refinishing. He offers hot bluing, parkerizing, Cerakote finishes, as well as wood refinishing. Check out his online inventory of new and used guns, firearms accessories, optics, and more at dcgunsmith.ca. And you can find him on Facebook and Instagram under Armory DC Gunsmith. So we have a couple emails here. Adriel, you want to take the first one?
Have you guys heard anything about the release of the Canadian-made, non-restricted Raven PCC from Lockhart Tactical? I recently read an article about its release, and it seems intriguing. It even has the option of a top charging handle, like the Liberal Scary Gun 15 AR. The price seems reasonable. Just wondering if you've heard any more details or have any insider info. Thanks, Josh.
Not really inside info. It's been in development for a couple of years now, I think.
Yes.
And it's actually good to see that they finally got their approval and are taking pre-orders on them. And I really like it because it seemed like it was closer to the FX9, where it had the ergonomics similar to an AR. And like
it had the
charging
choice
options
between a charging handle, like a reciprocating or a fixed charging handle, and on both sides. I would be really leery of a pre-order on a gun that's been in development for that long and hasn't been released by a common firearms manufacturer.
Yeah, it's Lockhart though. Yeah. Lockhart. Yeah, you're right.
Pre-orders first gen guns are risky.
I know.
Yeah. I was just happy to see that the pre-orders finally come out because it's been sitting there for a while.
Well, and it's great to get all the competition. Like, I love that we're getting more competition in Canada for this kind of thing because there is room in the market for a good competition 9mm PCC. People right now are using like the Ruger one, which is like it's good. Like there's some really good parts to the Ruger PC carbine.
Yeah.
But there's some parts of it that just aren't made for competition. They're made to be more practical, right? It doesn't have like Go Fast Gamer parts on the mag release or on the bolt release or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and it would be cooler if it did, but that just leaves room in the market for someone else to provide that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Mo, you want to take the next one?
Sure can. Good day, Slamfire. Just wanted to follow up with my story from November and give a big shout out to Grey Birch. I had sent back a Grey Birch barrel as I was having troubles with accuracy. As a resolution, Grey Birch sent me a new Fusion barrel and receiver at no cost.
Awesome.
Great customer service. I felt so bad I bought a bolt from them as well. Had to do some filing to my SBI chassis and the factory trigger group to get it to fit, but it worked out. Only been able to get it out to the range for a quick test, but preliminary results are that it's at least a 1 to 2 MOA more accurate with the original GB barrel factory receiver build. Please tell everyone you know that GB is a great company to deal with that stands behind their products. Thanks for the content. Keep it up. Cole.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks for that,
Yeah,
Cole,
very
for
nice.
letting us how it resolved itself, or not really resolved itself, but yeah, Grey Birch is they're really trying hard and they do stand behind their products. So
Good
job.
Awesome. We have nothing from Patreon, Instagram, or Facebook reviews. If you'd like to send the show an email, you can. Send it to slamfireradio@gmail.com. And if you'd like to be a Patreon, or Patreonee, you can go to Patreon, search up Slamfire Radio, and support your pledge, and we really appreciate any donations anybody gives. Anybody got any shout outs or recommendations?
Yeah, thanks to pre-thanks, I guess, to my friends and family for coming out and helping me build my gun room this weekend. Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
Hopefully, yeah.
Well, you know how these projects go, right? You get building, you're like, oh, we need some of this kind of lumber, or we need these screws, or we're short on these hinges, or there's always like little BS that gets in the way. So I hope I've gotten most of the stuff like prepped so that it's just build, and it just whips right through, right?
Nice.
We never know.
Yeah.
All right.
Kelly?
I just want to say thank you to Matt for coming on tonight. I sent him a message in the middle of the night and he responded right away. So thank you for doing that. Staying up in the middle of the night and answering emails. And I also wanted to say thanks to the ladies that were on the show for She Shoots. If you haven't actually had the opportunity to check it out, go and download it, because you can now listen on Spotify. You can listen on whatever podcast app you can listen on to. So it's available on those apps. It's also available on YouTube as well as Facebook. So Facebook Live. So yeah, go and do that.
Nice.
Thanks. Yep.
Mo?
Nothing for me tonight.
I have nothing either. So
you want to give a shout out to ATF?
Not yet.
Oh, a
Not
shout.
yet.
Yeah, a shout.
Sorry.
You know, maybe if you bring a dog for them to too much.
Yeah, you don't even have to finish that. I know where you're going. And with that, we're going to sign off. So go check us out on Gun Owners of Canada. Give us a like on Facebook. We are currently at 2,965.
Yeah, we need to raise that
Looking
up.
to get to 3K. So like, share, subscribe. YouTube, Facebook, all the places. Also give us a review, join the CCFR, and we will see you guys next week.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.